Alright, I raised my board up here so I use my planer on both sides. Get one pass and then we'll freehand. Alright, now to get the depth guard reset. Well, I'm not overly impressed with how it did it freehand, but for 60 bucks, can't complain. Just gonna have to do a little more sanding tomorrow. Now I'm just gonna cut this board in half and then plane down these edges here and get it all ready to be glued together. Now I'm using the Admiral. So if you do have that laser line, remember that laser line isn't gonna be where you're cutting. So I made my line to be like the center of the blade. So that laser line's not gonna be what I'm using. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut that off. But I'll leave my nice light on so I don't have that shadow. That's pretty neat there. Anyways, getting ready to cut her. Nice smooth cut. Well, I got my last one set up here. Went a little deeper for this particular plane. I went 1/16 of an inch. So let's see how it does. Well, that turned out pretty darn well. Now to flip it and do it a few more times. Well, I really like how this last plane cut really went in. So on each one of these boards, I did a 1/16 off twice, and I marked them. Now I'm warming up the grill while I clean up. Tomorrow, I start sanding because my part comes in. Now for my table that I'm building, I'm going to be putting underneath 2 shelves that I'm going to be able to put records on. So records, the boxes are about 12 1/4 each, or 12 1/2, something like that. So I've decided to do the feet at 32 inches. And I picked 32 because it's easy to see on my tape measure, and I like cheating. But I also picked it because then I can fit 2 shelves in there, have enough room underneath to sweep easily, and have enough to put all my different bracing on that I want to put, because there's going to be a little bit of weight when it comes to those records. And then for these particular boards, I'm making the cut down and then I'm measuring again. I'm doing that because one of the ends is split a little bit, and I just want to avoid that. Now I got 2 legs done, gonna do 2 more. Well, I just came up with my measurements for my table leg frames. So I'm going to be putting shelves in on my table legs here. So I had to measure down from the top, picking this spot here as my top. I wanted to make sure that from my top to where my shelf is going to be, I had at least 13 inches for the records to slide in, which means I needed to go 3/4 down from there, and that's where I can put my different framing pieces and crossbars. And then I wanted to do roughly the same, but I ran out of a little bit of room, so I shortened it just a hair for my next one, and then I came up with where my board's gonna go down here. So I'll be framing 1 by 2 from here to here, and then I'll be having them go from this leg to the other leg up here. I figured out where my measurements need to be, and I decided how far apart my legs were going to be from each other on for two different reasons. One is my shelves down here, and then my tabletop. My tabletops I measured out are 48 inches, and I decided to give myself about 2 inches on either side for my table legs. Doing my math, I want my leg to go, or I want my frame to go from the outside to the outside, going the long way first, and I'll be routing in notches for those to go in. So I got a little more work to do. Alright, well I got my list of what I need to cut here. I'm going to be cutting 4 at 44 inches long for the long way, and I'm going to try to get 8 for the other way at 11 and a quarter. Okay, I've never done this before, but I think I can mill myself a couple more of those pieces out of this extra I have here. What do I do with my pencil now? Right there. Alright. So I need a few more at 11 and a quarter. didn't do half bad. Didn't do half bad. Alrighty, I got 3 of my boards measured out here, and I'm gonna show you my little cheater on how to measure both where my board's going to go and I'm gonna route out, and where my router is going to end. So I can put my little braces here on the ends and make a little jig. Anyways, so our numbers are 13 3/4 from the top, 28 3/4 other one. Now this little board here, you're probably not going to get square, but I can get the width pretty darn well. Just by going like that, then I take my square through, square up my line so I know I'm going to be staying where I need to be. And I did measure out and run a test. My jig needs to be 1 5/8 inches. So what I like to do is find an inch number, like this one's 13. I just go 1 5/8 inches. Fine. That one's 11. I go back down to 9 3/8. But I don't really measure it that way. I measure 1 inch and then 5/8. Down here I did run into a problem that I'm running out of board for my jig, so I'm gonna have to come up with a solution for that. 1 5/8 inches. And I think what it is I'm doing about half the board with each pass, so I'll make my jig just move down and I'll keep everything pressed up against this side. Now where my jig's going, I like to put a dotted line so I don't get confused on what's going where. Mark my middle mark, make sure I'm on. Sometimes I'm off a little bit. Mark my outside ones, that's the way my jig gets on there, right? Scraps fitting in there real nice. Now I just got to do it 4 more. I'll figure out what I'm doing down here in just a little bit. Try to make a video of that as well. Alright, well I came up with this idea for where I'm going to place my jig. I got my dotted line and my solid line. And that seems to cut pretty well to my line here. So let's take a look. As you can see here, I've gone down a little more. So what I'm going to continue to do is take that side down, and I'll go back and I'll do the next. Now I would have preferred to leave myself a little bit of room because I don't have the best router in the world. And as you can tell, I'm just a little off, but I'll get that a little more smoothed out with some sanding here in a little bit. But I've got 3 more legs to get this done with. Well, we're trying this out for the first time ever. I glued my table together. What I did was flattened out those edges there, right here, and then glued it together using wood glue. And then I clamped everything down using 3 36 inchers and my 4 12 inchers. I'll leave it there for a while and see what happens. All right, so I'm gonna dry fit this here real quick while I'm taking a break from chiseling. Oh, I need my tape measure. Hold on. So those are going to go from there to there. I'm going to put those crossbars in. Now it looks like it's going to fit pretty darn. Well, I'd say we have a workable table. It's going to fit a record player and records. And that's exactly what I was shooting for. Looking good. Well, look at that. I decided to go with this side. I'm gonna do some other prep work tonight and I'll finish it up tomorrow. But I am gonna get that pile there all painted tonight. And I'm gonna be using this paint right over here from Ace. There, I'm gonna be doing it brown. I'm like, why is it red? That's why. Let's see how flat she is. Pencil test. Yep, that one stayed. Not bad. Now this direction. Oh, rolled a little bit. Nothing. Oh, yeah, a little bit over there. A little down there. That might also be what I'm on. But not too bad for my first try. I will say once I get my table saw, this will get taken apart and then put back together. Well, I've cleaned off all my wood after sanding everything. Time to paint. I'm going to do the bottom of this table brown and the top green. And then later on I'll be adding in some personalized paintwork on top. I'm going to start by brushing everything on. I've had it all mixed. Now just to continue on painting. Y'all have a good one. After looking at it dry, it looks a lot better than what I thought going on. So I'm gonna stick with the brush here and see what becomes of it. Should end up looking really good though. All right, well, cleaning my tray didn't go to plan, so we're gonna go to plan. I don't recommend it. But you gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do. Like I said, I don't recommend it. I just don't want to go anywhere. So, put a little bit of green paint down. Pretty. It's gonna go really nice with those rounds. But yeah, definitely two coats. So we'll wait for this to dry. I'll get our second coat going. Y'all enjoy. Now normally I don't think this far ahead, but I'm gonna start painting these sides. Even though these sides haven't dried, I still have an open side here. So I'm letting myself know. Turn them that way. That way I know which side's the wettest without checking everything 100 times. Sometimes I surprise myself. You know, when you're waiting for paint to dry, something I like to do. Just get the grill started. Another thing I like to do, start it better. All right, now I'm gonna try to set these legs of my table up. Now, if I was gonna make this more permanent, I would definitely add wood glue. But since I want to be able to take this apart when I move again, redo it. This here is the Worksite nail gun. I got it off Amazon. Nobody gave it a review. I just decided to try it out because I needed a little brad nailer and I didn't want all the other stuff that came along with it. It's got some adjustments on here, 1 through 6. I've always left it on 6. Whoa. After a year of having it, I will say it works pretty darn well. And after 8 months of not charging it and losing my charger, it's still working pretty darn good. I have had to come by with my finish hammer and finish in nails before, but overall, works pretty darn well. Now I had one that only fit in one spot, so I made sure to mark that one. I'd say overall, for as cheap as it was, it does exactly what it's gonna say. It doesn't do it perfect. I definitely recommend a better one if you're gonna use it every day. But every once in a while, it's not bad. All right, so with your large square, you wanna see how square you can get your little feet here. Just a little bit, but that's my measure. So I'm just gonna split the difference a little bit. Pretty good. Now, to lay my table flat, I'm gonna hold this down at the bottom. You want to make sure that you're going to be that you're flat to the bottom, and keep your hand out of the way. Now I am using a Worksite electric brad nailer from Amazon. Never seen anybody do a review on this, so my 2 cents. Boy, it's been getting pretty good. If you think you're going to get great quality and result out of it, well, you'd be wrong. But it does work pretty darn well. It's smooth. When I put in different trim pieces, it's worked really well for me. But I only use it a couple times a year, and it's held up pretty darn well. Overall, the money spent in a little project like this around the house using some cotton wood or scrap wood around the house, it does a nice job. Alright, we got ourselves a little shelf there. Looking good. These are hidden, so I'm not so worried about making them perfectly lining up. I do want them close. Just to show you what I mean. They're nice, just out just a little bit. So come through with your finish hammer or put a little piece of your... Alrighty, so I got some leftover random drywall screws and random junk drawer screws. And then I got 1.5 inch corner braces from Ace Hardware. Just gonna install these here just on all 4 of these bolts. I'd say that's a nice solid table for it. Looking good. Once I got the table into the house, it's working wonderfully. Records are held in place, and I got an extra shelf, which means I get to buy more records. I am a little disappointed in the tabletop, so I will be fixing that after the next move. But it turned out really well, and I'm very proud of what I did. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on them notifications and share with everyone you know.